Okay, our third and final scenario for the managing incidents assignment. So engine 31 is on the scene, got a motor vehicle collision, heavy damage from both vehicles, one of them is on its top. Engine 31 will establish the command. For us, if this comes in as a possible entrapment, it's going to send two engines, a medic, and a chief officer. So I would set the initial command until the arrival of the chief officer, and then we would transfer the command to them. So upon our arrival, we do a 360 of the scene, survey the accident scene, determine if there's any fire hazards, anything that would affect the safety of our crews arriving on scene to work. Our medic crew generally arrives on the scene at the same time as we do, so I would take that first medic and I would make them the triage officer. We got reports that there are 5 victims between the two vehicles. So for us, that would be what we call, for our policy, is a level 1 MCI, which is 5 to 10 patients. So if I requested that through our dispatch center, that would send an additional 3 ambulance units. With this one, I'm probably going to add an additional 2 medics above and beyond that, because our first medic, being the triage, their equipment's going to get moved around a lot, and they may deplete some of their resources. So they may end up not transporting and just only doing triage. So I'd make the paramedic in charge of the first medic on the scene as the triage officer, and get a count of how many patients there are, and then triage them, determine the priority of who needs to be transported out. Benefit we have is that we're all paramedics, so I can put 11 personnel on this scene rather quickly, and they'll all be paramedics, so we can all go to work. Depending on if anybody's trapped or not, one of our engines carries a complement of technical rescue equipment, including extrication equipment. So we would need to get that tan vehicle that's on its top side would need to be stabilized. Wouldn't be worried about any fluid spills right away if they weren't impinging on any patients or anything like that. But definitely need to get the vehicles stabilized before we start pulling anybody out of them. And then we need to worry if there's anybody entrapped. If they are entrapped, then that rescue crew would be assigned as the extrication group, and then we would take our second engine, and then depending on how intensive that is, we may need to get a hand line down for their protection, and then take the rest of their crew and help them set up maybe a treatment group to work with the triage group. So once we sort the patients out, we can start getting some treatments in before we get the transport units in. With 5 patients, I would not set up a separate transportation officer. I would just handle that myself at the command post. Once we got all the patients extricated, got them triaged, determined where they were going to go, as the subsequent medics arrived on scene, we'd get them loaded up, get them treated and transported out the way to the hospital. Once we got all the patients taken care of, then we'd go back and worry about any secondary problems, fire hazards, fluid spills, things like that. Would need to get the roadway shut down. We would block with our apparatus per our policies. Looks like this is on a residential street, so we'd get this shut down. We'd be in contact with our public service garage to get some bigger cones and some road signs up directing traffic. We're going to get a hefty police response as well, so they can help direct traffic in the beginning stages and keep our personnel safe, which is going to be a priority here because we're all going to be busy working and need to maintain our situational awareness as always, working on the street. Once we got all that done, then we would clear out in service. And that's the end of that one. Thank you.